All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Health and Wellness Summit. My name is Courtney Miracle. I am your host, and I have today joining me Charissa Woodward. She is a professional organizer, and I'm so excited to talk to her because I just spent the whole morning cleaning out my daughter's room. So, Charissa, how are you?
I'm awesome today. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, tell us a little bit about your story. How'd you get into this, and kind of what led you down this path?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share. I love sharing my story, which is really what this is. I have always been good at organizing ever since I was a little kid. It's just something that flowed out of me naturally. And I didn't understand that other people either don't like organizing or don't know how to do it or get overwhelmed by it. I get joy out of it and energy. So I'm just so grateful that I get the opportunity to do what I love and get paid for it. But I really feel like I'm walking in my purpose when I do that. I'll just tell you briefly the story of how I got started. So I was kind of at this weird crossroads in my life, like, what am I doing with myself? And I had I had a mentor at the time, and she said, well, make a Facebook page for anything you're good at. So I made a childcare page and an organizing page. And within a month, I had 2 people reach out. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could organize. Can I hire you? And one of those people was actually my best friend's mom from high school. She lives in Denver. That's where I grew up. So I had an hour drive home to the Springs. That's where I live right now. And the whole way home, I was just feeling like this is what I was made for. And I actually had this thought: you've been hoarding your gift for organizing. And I was like, whoa, that's one of those like mic drop moments that you can't ignore. Like, you can't just keep living life without remembering that. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go share this gift that I have. And that's why I mentioned, to me, it's me walking in my purpose. It's something that was gifted to me, and I need to go share it with people. So that's what I do.
Yeah. And I love it that you said like it energizes you. Cause that's, I mean, to me, I mean, when we talk about purpose and what we're supposed to do in life, it should be something you love. And what
Mhm.
I think is so cool is that so many people are like, I have this pile of stuff or these rooms of stuff. And like the last emotion that they think they're going to get is energy. They're just like, I know what that was me this morning. So my daughter, love her to death. She's 7. I'll tell you guys the story because it's sort of funny. So she like puts stuff away, but then you
Yeah.
open her desk drawers and she's just stuffed everything. She
Mm.
doesn't throw things away. She just stuffs them in the drawer. And I'm like, honey, what are you doing? And so I like the outcome of organizing and cleaning, but not so much the process. And like neither is she. She's like, I just want to put this away so mom will stop like telling me I have to go clean things. So let's talk about the people that you help. So I know you do a lot of just hands-on getting in there helping the people. So is there a range of people that are just like completely overwhelmed or people that just need a little help? Kind of walk us through what does a client try?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. Every client is different and every situation is different. I usually work in people's homes, but sometimes it's their businesses, their offices. But as you can imagine, those spaces are as different as every person is.
Yeah.
But some people hire me for a one-time job. They're like, I'm pretty organized, but I just feel like I don't have the time to catch up on my pantry. Can you come just one time and clean it up for me? Cool, I can totally do that. And then you have the other side of things where people are overwhelmed from years or decades
Yeah.
of clutter and stuff. And they're like in over their heads. I have no idea where to start or what to do. So they hire me to come sometimes once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever their schedule and their budget allows. And we just keep chipping it away at it slowly. So I usually work in 3-hour sessions because 90% of the time I'm working side by side with my clients. And just like we talked about how organizing is a chore for them, they hit a wall at 3 hours. They're like, they gloss over. I see it in their face, sometimes even 2.5 hours, and they just push through, but they're like, I'm so over this. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just do little bite-sized pieces to help them get progress, right? We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to get them ahead. So yeah, every situation's different, and there definitely is a scale of how much help they need.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as like the downsides of being unorganized, what are some of the things that maybe those of us that aren't, I have parts of my life that are organized and parts that definitely aren't. So for those of us that are unorganized, like what are some of the downsides of not being organized that really you can give us that little push to be like, you should be doing this because it's going to help your life.
Another great question. Thank you for that. So I see how being organized in my own life affects every area of my life. Recently, I was thinking about what is organizing. I do that all the time. I'm like, how can I explain this to people? And it's really about being familiar with your stuff, being familiar with your schedule, being familiar with all the things that you are obligated to. So I keep a close relationship with my schedule, with my bank account. I keep track of things. And that's why I say it affects all areas of your life. Your diet, if you don't plan well for shopping, you're going to end up picking something up at the gas station. A big one is money, right? I can't tell you the number of times people have said, oh my gosh, I've been looking for that. And then what do? If they can't find it pretty quickly and they need it now, they go buy another one. And so they're spending money on things that they don't need. I tell people organizing is knowing what you own, why you own it, and where to find it. So again, it goes back to that familiarity, right? Like you got to know what you have so you can use it when you need it. And it just makes life easier all across the board.
Yeah, I love it. So what do you think the difference is between organizing and cleaning, or is there one?
Well, that's a good question. So I work really well and closely with house cleaners. I don't actually clean. I clean as I organize a little bit, but most house cleaners, if there's too much clutter, they'll say to their client, I can't clean this area. There's too much stuff, because they don't want to clean off all the counters, right? To wipe them down and then put all your stuff back. They really can't do that. So we work hand in hand, but there is definitely a distinction. But I tell people I'm not shy to wipe off a shelf. Like if we take everything off, I'm going to clean it for you before we put everything back.
Yeah.
I'm not like, you need a house cleaner.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So obviously you help people organize things. Are you helping them outside of that? Okay, wait, I have a better question. So say you work with somebody and there's probably a reason. I believe there's a reason behind everything that we do. There's probably a reason why they're not organized. Do you help them identify like why? Is it time? Is it desire? Like do you help them with that so they don't end up right back where they were, or how does that work?
Yeah. So those conversations are really cool because they kind of happen as we're organizing. So a lot of times people have these like aha moments, or I give them a little tip or an idea and they realize something about themselves, their family, or how they've been operating. And again, that's why I like to work side by side with people so we can talk about those things. And then a lot of times I'm like, hey, this is what I do. So I like to share this because my business is Grace to Organize, and I want people to know there's so much grace for them. Even though I'm an organizer, I still have to spend my time and energy organizing. It's not just a magic thing. It's like you have to put forth effort. And somebody asked me recently, well, how do you handle your paperwork? And I was like, you want to know what I do? It doesn't seem that organized, but it works for me. I leave things in piles in places where they're going to bother me, and it makes me take care of it because I don't like clutter. And if I have papers sitting there that need to be dealt with, I can't file them away because then I won't deal with it right away. So I tell them, I'm like, I just leave it out till it annoys me. And they're like, what? But you're organized. It works for me. It's a system that works for me. So that's fun too, to just share with people what I do. And then we just organizing is creative and it's about trial and error. So also not being afraid to try something new. People wait a really long time in between adapting. And if they would just pivot every week, 2, 3 weeks, okay, this isn't working, and try something new, they're going to be a lot more organized instead of like, I don't know, I just can't do it. I'm not organized. It's not true. Just try again.
Yeah, right. Those stories. And I'm just not an organized person. It's funny because I actually really always thought like I'm super organized, and now I'm like, I'm actually not. I need to be more, but I'm not. But okay, so do you find people so maybe some of the listeners are listening and they're glancing over at their closet, I could glance at mine, and they're like, oh my God, I need to take care of that. But I don't like the feelings of like embarrassment or not wanting to actually like bring someone into that space if they're like, the whole idea of clean your house before you have somebody else clean it. What would you say to those people about reaching out to you, or if they're not in Colorado, reaching out to somebody else to get that help?
Yeah, that's so awesome. So I'll tell you this, almost every person that I show up to their home, they feel some sort of either embarrassment, shame, they feel the need to apologize. And I'm like, listen, I'm not here to judge you. Again, that's why I'm graced to organize. So I want them to know that before I even show up. I also want them to know that they're not alone. The thing is, we don't know what's in people's houses. We don't know the things that they struggle with. And I have spent 4 years in business seeing hundreds of people's homes who feel the same way that they do. I'm like, this is not abnormal. And it can be fixed and we can work on it. And I also tell people that I think I was created with some sort of rose colored glasses because like I go in their house and they see complete chaos and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. And they're like, you are super weird. I'm like, I know, but I'm not upset. I'm not stressed out. I'm not worried and I'm not judging you. I'm just excited that you're there. And I'm also really grateful. Like, thank you for allowing me into your space, into your home, and for being vulnerable with me. It's not easy to do, but I hope that they feel grace when I show up and they're like, oh, she's actually really nice. I'm like, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And like your energy is palpable. Like you clearly love this. And it would be like, okay, she's just here to help me. She's not going to judge me. Like I love that so, so much. And I really truly think you are living your purpose. So for
Thank
somebody
you.
at home, do you have any like top tips or tricks on how to get started? If they're like, I know I need to do this, but I'm not really ready to like to hire somebody or to really get help. What are your best tips and tricks to get and or stay organized?
Yeah, so one of my first and favorite to point out is to try to do things in bite-sized pieces. So just analyzing myself and other people, I constantly am aware that when we procrastinate, it's because we think something's going to take way longer than it actually will. And secondly, we can get a lot done in a really short amount of time if we're very focused. So I tell people to set a timer. I usually recommend 10 minutes at a time. Or you can pick something like a box, a basket, whatever it is. Start somewhere and just start taking action so that you feel motivated. I don't know if you're at all familiar with Dave Ramsey's debt snowball. What he teaches is pay your lowest debt first so that you gain this momentum and you feel good about what you're doing and you're motivated by the progress. And it's the same kind of thing. Like if you finish one box, please celebrate that. Please be excited. And don't just look at what's left over. Look at what you accomplished and try to do, I don't know, 10 minutes a day. That's usually what I recommend. And there's something interesting about timers. Like if you set a timer and you just go, it makes you move faster. I don't quite understand it. I've tried to, I'm like, why does that happen? But it's true, not just for myself, but for other people that have tried it.
Yeah, it's subconscious trigger. We were talking before that like we do CrossFit. I own a CrossFit gym and you've done CrossFit. We all know that 3, 2, 1 goes and like there's this spike of like, I gotta move faster than just now. So it is true though. I mean, and it's funny because we should figure out the psychology behind that, but there is some productivity. And I think there's probably some emotional cue knowing that there's an end, right? Like
That's
I
good.
teach all of my clients like work in, 25, no matter what you're doing, work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, right? Because if you know, like, this is only 25 minutes of this, like for somebody that hates organizing, they're like, okay, I'm gonna do this for 10 minutes. Like I can do anything for 10 minutes, right? Maybe even burpees. No, just kidding. Yes, like I can do anything for 10 minutes. Like I think there's that end in sight. So I love that. And I love what you said about just, giving yourself credit of looking at what you've done. I think as humans in general, we're always, it's the when then game. When it's all clean, then I'll feel good, right? Versus, okay, I did this thing today. And if I keep doing that, the compound effect. So I love that. Yeah, so good. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so tell us if so you guys she does work hand in hand, obviously, as she said. So she's in Colorado Springs. So tell us, how would people find you? How do they get in contact with you? How far will you travel? What does that all look like for you?
Yeah, so I'll just say this, 100% of the time I'm going to travel to my clients. So I'm welcome to have them reach out and see, hey, are you close enough for me? But in general, I work in Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and then even west, like Woodland Park, I've worked in Divide. So I'm not shy to travel. they can get in contact with me through my Facebook page and set up a free consultation. So I always start with that. It's 30 minutes. We can do it virtually or in person, and they can show me the spaces, get the answers, get their questions answered. Sorry, I forgot the other question you asked me.
Where to find you? So online, do you have a website or is it just Facebook, Instagram? What makes most sense?
Yeah, the website's great. It's grace and the number 2 organized.com. And that actually links to all my other things. I've got my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I've got some videos on there. So if people want more tips and tricks, I've got some things on there for productivity and organizing. So yeah, pretty much anywhere on the internet, you can find me.
Okay, awesome. I love it. And for you guys listening that aren't in Colorado, I had asked Charissa before, like, does she have referrals in other states? Will you tell them the answer to that question as well?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually part of a Facebook group that's organizers from all over the nation. We're all linked together, encouraging each other and supporting. So I would refer somebody to that group just to see if there's somebody locally that can help them. There are organizers all over the nation. I was so surprised when I started my business. I thought, wow, there's more of me everywhere. They are there and they probably have similar personalities to me. I've met probably 15 or 20 organizers in the last few years, and they're all super kind, gracious, loving people. So to at least ask, and most of them do free consultations. So that's a great place to start. Then you can be like, oh, I like this person. This one doesn't fit my personality. And I'll mention that too. It is a personality thing, right? Like if you're going to work side by side with somebody, you want to like them. So just pointing that out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, why are you judging me? Yeah, yeah, I love that. Well, it's so good. So you guys go check out Charissa. I know I will do that. I love when things are organized. I don't always love the process. So I appreciate you being on here, sharing all your knowledge and your personality and your spirit with us. So the rest of you guys, we'll see you tomorrow for another interview, and go get yourself organized.
Thanks, Courtney.
Of course.